afternoon, everyone. Hope you are having a great day here at the conference. And it's been a lot of fascinating discussions this afternoon about RWA. I think I'm learning a lot here. So today, I'm very honored to have our guests with us today. And we are going to discuss further opportunities and challenges on RWA. And if I could invite everyone to do a bit of a self-intro.
Hi, hello guys. This is Devin from CA Bank. It's actually CA Bank is one of the 8 virtual banks in Hong Kong. And we started actually 4 years ago. And in last year, Web3 Festival, we talked about banking for Web3. So the bank is actually very supportive on supporting the Web3 ecosystem. And actually from the last year, we actually onboard a lot of different kind of Web3 companies. Right now, it's over 100. And also we work closely with the governments, with the regulators to support different kind of the, regulated and licensed players like the VATPs and the coming stablecoin, or maybe in the coming future, we talk about like OTCs and custodian. Thanks for having me today.
Hello, my name is Frank. I'm one of the executive director of OKX Hong Kong. And my main responsibility includes managing the operations and the automated trading system together with the other executive directors. And part of the job is related to the, like you guys already know, building those features to fulfill the regulatory requirements. And then obviously OKX Hong Kong as one of the biggest player in the crypto market, right? We actually very focused on the customer experience. We focus on the compliance related. We also focus on building the ecosystem, especially in Hong Kong. We pay a lot of efforts, resources, and try to build the system together, like ZA Bank and like the others. So good to be here.
Excellent.
Hi, this is Paulo Chen. I used to work in venture capital as an investor for around 10 years in USD venture firm. And now I'm the CSO of VDX. VDX aims to be a compliant Hong Kong virtual asset exchange, and we are applying for the VATP license. And we have a unique B2B2C business model, meaning that we are mainly working with brokerage within the traditional financial industry, like security firms and banks. Besides, we also work very closely with our one of our shareholder, Victory Security, which is a Hong Kong-listed company with over 50 years history. And Victory Security is also the first security firm that obtained the Type 1, 4, and 9 VA uplift license in Hong Kong. And we are also the first one to begin the brokerage business for the retail investors in Hong Kong. And also we are actively working to participate in the first batch of ETF, spot ETF in Hong Kong. Thank you.
Hi, my name's Darshan. I am the CEO and co-founder of Credora. Credora is basically a credit ratings provider for Web3 debt issuances, private credit issuances. And our main value prop is using real-time data that is usually private, but we use privacy-preserving computations to do more dynamic credit assessments on businesses looking to tap into this new source of capital. So yeah, thanks for having me.
Excellent. I'm excited for all of our panelists bringing different backgrounds into this discussion. So to start with, I want to get a bit of your thoughts on the current trends and narratives in RWA. How is this different from the traditional finance, and also different asset classes and sectors you think might benefit the most out of this? I would like to hear it from everyone at the panel.
Maybe I will start first. Right. Before we deep into the details, if you guys just attend whatever we have learned in the morning session, right? Especially like the one Chen Ling, Sergey just mentioned about the data. I just want to anchor this concept. It is very important in RWA. Just before we talk about the details, right? Let's review the history of the currency of human being. Long ago, our human being tried to swap goods or products with each other, right? And then later on, we use shells or stones to represent the value of goods. And then we build metal coins, we build paper money, is better for transformation or carry and swap. So what's the big deal under it, right? The core values of this iteration of currency is more about efficiency, about cost saving, about security, and about trust. By utilizing the crypto technology, right, we can actually build a lot of benefits on top of it. Like the traditional finance has their own edge, right? But what's the problem RWA trying to solve? I guess by utilizing the blockchain technology, we can actually benefit a lot. Not just on the utilizing the traditional finance extensive customer relationship, but also with those like regulation expertise, we can utilize it, and also enjoy the benefits of using the blockchain, such as the efficiency, the innovation, and the security underneath. So, and we all know that the traditional modern financial system has over 600 years. And throughout these 600 years, a lot of technology actually built on top of it, and also a lot of wisdom, control, risk, like all this kind of stuff built on it. It is extremely unfair and challenge for RWA to catch up within just a few years. But I believe, truly believe, we will eventually get there. And utilizing the technology, that could be the key. I wouldn't call out a specific sector that will be success in the next sector or next generation, but I also want to encourage ourselves, instead of like limiting ourselves to the traditional assets class, like oil, like real estate or whatever, right? Like this is at the time of technology singularity, there will be a lot of innovation that can even break through without, beyond our imagination. So why not like tokenizing our mind, tokenizing our time or whatever, right? This could be a lot.
One step at a time. Okay. Anyone else would like to comment?
Yeah, I mean, I think, touching on some of the same points, I guess it depends on the why for an RWA. And I'd say there's two broad buckets. One is efficiency, and the other is access. So for RWAs that improve access, it's usually access to things like T-bills or various corporate bonds that certain jurisdictions don't have easy access to, or there aren't enough fiat rails from the right currency into those particular assets. And so I'd say that's a smaller long-term segment, whereas actually it probably introduces more intermediaries than reduces them. Whereas on the efficiency side, I'd say more private credit, credit funds, any fundraising efforts really where you're reducing the number of intermediaries, you're reducing the cost of issuance, you're reducing the marginal cost for raising every new dollar so you can have basically no minimum ticket size. You're making it automated in terms of the settlement, so you don't need as many admins to manage a particular transaction. So I see that as the largest opportunity in the space where there is an efficiency gain, not just an access gain.
Yeah, I actually want to echo to Darshan's comment about the accessibility. It's actually very important for the RWA. It's actually previously a lot of the asset classes are actually just for institution or private clients, and they are not granular enough. But with the tokenization technologies, besides the efficiencies we can gain from it, it's more about accessibility of the mass public. Because as the bank, we actually also serve mass client. But we see like a lot of the asset classes that the mass client can actually accessible to it is quite limited. And it's still traditional stock markets, funds, whatever it is. But when some tokenization of RWA actually happens, it can provide more different kinds of asset class solutions. So it can actually balance their portfolio. instead of just all on the stocks or on T-bills, they can just something covering like some real estate that they cannot, or is like the hurdles is too high for them to get in. So that is something for the bank perspective. We see like in order for us to provide more choices for our customers, tokenization takes the way.
Such a good point.
Yeah, so as for me, I mean, all the speakers talk about the merits and advantage of RWA. So for us, because we are like building in Hong Kong with the regulators, I want to talk more a little bit about the STO, the security token. So I think all the audience can ask yourself a question. So every cycle, there's RWA and STO emerging. So what's the difference this time compared with maybe several years ago? I think the biggest difference is that it's the first time that it goes through a legal process and it was regulated now. And it makes the unstandardized assets and security to become standardized. And more importantly, it helped the standardized and the legal assets work into the mass financial distribution channels. It can go into the security firms, it can go into the banks, and it opens up the traffic limit. So that's the main difference, I think, we are having in this cycle. So besides, apart from STO, I think RWA is a much broader concept. Through RWA, we all know that like we can leverage the advantage of the blockchain ledger to make it like we can reduce the transaction costs, and we can make it more transparent through the white box, and we can make it more accessible to the global market and the liquidity. And also, I think through RWA, we can have more innovation on the interoperability and make it more, have more DeFi innovations and more innovative financial products.
Yes, and I think we are already seeing that with BlackRock tokenizing some of their funds and building, tokenizing some of the assets on Ethereum. So that's fascinating. But also, everything comes with a risk. And Darshan, I want to hear from you on this, because volatility, cross-border liquidity, right? How do you tap into certain markets? Regulation challenges. Different areas have their own regulatory requirements. Like, how do RWA platforms can address some of these challenges?
Yeah, I'd say I'd split the risks into two main components. One is operational, and the other is asset-based risk. So on an operational side, there's the regulatory aspect that you mentioned. You have to check that issuers are in jurisdictions where the legal contracts are going to be based in a sound jurisdiction. From a lender's perspective, you need to have KYC, AML. Like, the whole purpose is to reduce cost, but if it's going to increase compliance risk for any large issuer, they're just not going to come and do it on chain. So there needs to be a compliance forward approach, but in a way that doesn't prohibit or make it more friction than basically the traditional way. So it's kind of like threading the needle there. And then from an asset-based perspective, there has to be strong underwriting that's extremely transparent so that the asset can be liquidly traded and priced correctly. And then there has to be monitoring of that risk. So obviously, Credora does some stuff in that department, but broadly, there are many different ways to monitor the risk of an RWA asset. And so that has to be an important component of when you just issue an RWA asset on chain. That's not the end of the transaction. You have to follow it through till the end, and you need to be able to trade it. And then I'd say the final part is recourse. Like, that has to be built into the process at the start. I think a lot of the RWA efforts that were early were all built for the happy scenario, but there wasn't a ton of known paths for when things went wrong. And, you know, it's private credit, it's general markets, there is going to be defaults. So there needs to be a process that's super transparent where lenders feel like they have proper recourse in the event of a bad scenario. And so, yeah, I think those are the main risks that need to be considered when issuing anything on chain.
Yeah, I think that's a good summary in terms of the opportunities out there on RWA. And for the second section, I actually want us to focus on the Hong Kong market because Hong Kong is known for having a robust infrastructure system when it comes to financial industry. So I wanted to ask in terms of the infrastructure and also RWA opportunities here in Hong Kong, do you see the regulatory framework, the demand from client side, and also technological advancements? Any comments on that? Maybe Devin, if you want.
Yeah, like particularly in Hong Kong market, of course we talk about a lot of the good side about how RWA can like provide accessibilities, choices to our customers, either like institution or mass customers. And I do think like the next step to us is more about how we can like choose the asset class that is actually on chain. Because like we all know like tokenization is a way to get access to the asset class. Even though today you can still, as I just mentioned, even though today those asset class are still there, but for the bank's agenda, or even though to the investors or the like end customers agenda, as the banks or like any other players in this ecosystem, we have to protect our customers so that we know that what is actually the asset at the back. Like Darshan just mentioned, like, oh, there's some risk there. So we have to understand, do a very proper due diligence on what kind of asset is actually in the behind. Like tokenization we talk about is a technology to make it more accessible, more easily to access, more fast, more efficient. But the most important point is still the asset at the back. So as long as the asset at the back is well regulated and it's very transparent about the control of it, the liquidity of it, how it is evolved, how it is connected to the end customer's benefit, I do think that it's going to be a next real big difference in kind of asset class trading for the retail customers, especially. And the other point I want to mention is more about the education. Because like today, many people say RWA, they don't have any idea because this is quite a general terms. But we have to let them know that when they invest their own money, every penny of it, what kind of asset are they actually subscribing to? And they are like holding that is. I do think that is very critical to make it more like adaptive in the market in order to have a very like sustainable market development in Hong Kong.
Yeah, I just want to double down what Devin and Dash mentioned, right? The RWA is not black magic, right? Underlying assets itself is the core of the investment, right? The transparency, immutability, traceability, all these are the good stuff of the blockchain solutions. How we can utilize that for the platform and actually analyze and validate those underlying assets and present to the end users, that become the key. We can't just manipulate some data and then show to the investor, hey, this asset is good to invest, but in reality, that's not. So I just want to encore, like Devin mentioned, right? As a platform, OKX, we are strive for the excellence, so full transparency. We have the POR, we have everything to show those kind of reserve, to tell our client, this underlying assets is trustable. You can just, based on your trade appetite, to choose the assets to trade. But behind the scene, we have done a lot of due diligence to validate it.
That's true. And also, it's interesting to hear it from this aspect because around the world, there are quite a few important financial markets, right? We have the US, Hong Kong is a big stop as well, and then there's Europe. So I'm curious to understand a bit better on what role does Hong Kong play in this global adoption of RWA. Would you guys say we are quite advanced among all of the European guys or the US guys? How do you see where this is going? And if any specific opportunities that are unique to Hong Kong you think would be a leading factor into the global world?
Yeah, sure. I think Hong Kong is a very interesting stage that the regulations and the innovation dance together. So compared to other developed market, especially compared to Singapore, I think Hong Kong has a very unique advantage that it has backed by a lot of abundant, very high quality assets from China. So it gives Hong Kong a unique start point to doing the RWA business from a different angle, and also have a different, I think, strategic vision and purpose of doing this as a new financial infrastructure platform. So we all know that throughout the history, Hong Kong stands for a very unique position to attract the foreign capitals to fund for the Chinese development. And also, under this situation, we face a lot of different challenges from the traditional financial limits. So I think Hong Kong and all the regulators have the power or have the motivation to do the innovation that we can help to smooth the global fundraising process and help our good assets and good projects to embrace the global liquidity and global capital. So I think that's the most important points that Hong Kong differs from Singapore or different from other main capital areas.
Interesting. Anyone else have any comments on this?
Yeah, I think Hong Kong is facing both the opportunities and challenge. Hong Kong being the gateway for Asia and beyond, and also have traditional one of the major financial hub, right? We have excellent connectivity. We have rich resources. We have excellent investors. We have, look at here, right? We have all the talents here, right? So how to utilize or find the right battle for RWA, for wider adoption, it will become critical. Hong Kong, like Paulo mentioned, right? Hong Kong being the strategic location in Asia, being the gateway for Asia and beyond. So how can we play the role for RWA to tap into diversified user types, become the critical? Well, let's talk about the challenge, right? The Hong Kong is definitely may encounter different challenges like the regulatory requirements, compliance, the investor protection, the fraud, everything related, right? But I believe by navigating all these challenges and leverage the Hong Kong advantage, Hong Kong can take a critical lead role in the RWA global adoption.
Definitely, I think you touched upon a really good point in terms of balancing innovation versus protecting investors. I think a lot of both the regulatory parties, startups, institutions are on this trend and trying to do better and set the example for the rest of the world. So that's fascinating. And for the final section, I actually want us to discuss the future of RWA because there are so many opportunities in this space. I want to ask if, and as we are saying, if RWA continues to evolve, what tech advancements do you think we can anticipate in this space? And also any sort of significant impacts on the future of RWA? I don't know, Frank or Venture.
I can imagine there are a few areas or aspects which can attract a lot of interest or play critical roles. For example, we talk about standardization protocol. How we can streamline the data process from the assets itself all the way back to the investor, right? How can we ensure utilizing the blockchain solution to present all this data or maintain all this data without manipulated by anyone? I think that could be one of the protocol that can help to seamless integration for traditional finance and blockchain solutions. The second one that I can imagine will be like maybe using the AI or using the analytic stuff that can help to validate all this data to ensure that the data itself is actually correct and such that we can remove a lot of hurdle or boost up the investor trust and also address the regulatory concerns if this asset is really something that suitable for clients. I think these kind of areas is going to continue to grow in this industry.
It's a good point.
Yeah, I mean, I think you touched on a lot of the benefits or the technological benefits of the tokenization piece. I think it being on-chain lends itself well to other things being imbibed in it. You mentioned AI, but I think real-time data is something that I'm biased towards, where the pricing of debt or generally RWAs in traditional markets is not always real-time, especially things like private credit. There are static assessments of bonds, of private credit issuances, and they don't update after the issuance, or very infrequently do they update. And that's usually just because the data that's coming to them is coming at a quarterly or monthly cadence. Whereas there is a whole world of real-time data that's out there for every single company in the world. But it's private. So how do you unlock that? And obviously, there's a ton of technologies just in this conference that help you unlock private data. So I think that's one of the things that can really make, I guess, RWA markets more liquid and more transparent. And then I think there's a bunch of innovations that have already come about, but identity on chain, when you talk about access, I think having KYC and various other attestations natively in your wallet, tying an identity to your on-chain presence, I think can make investment opportunities remain compliant but still accessible to the masses. So I think that those two innovations, I'm like, I guess, leaning towards having a big impact in the RWA space.
I agree. I think all of this have to be working together. We need to make sure the DeFi aspect is working in order to tokenizing the real world assets. And we also need to make sure the decentralized identity side is working. And which L1s we build this on, right? A lot of those, and also together with the service providers, having a solid bank, have a good banking solutions there as well. All of this have to work together in order for us to have a good RWA outcome in this space. I'm curious because I want to ask Paulo about this. Demand from clients. How much demand are you seeing from the clients on RWA? What kind of solutions are they looking for, and what kind of things are you guys building?
Yeah, sure. For us, it's a little bit different. So as we are both VDS Exchange and the Victory Securities are working as regulated and compliance institutions in Hong Kong. So we are mainly focusing on the STO parts, I think, which is a subset of RWA, the security tokens for the real world assets. So we actually get a lot of interest from the traditional, both the financial institutions like the big banks and security firms, and also some big internet and fintech platforms, as well as some traditional traditional assets, for example, like commodity assets and others issuers. I think we all see that the RWA and STO has some innovation on the asset issuance, and it's the trend in the future. So I think players and the clients want to capture the dividends of the first movers, and also to build up the platform, the market, the side. Sorry, the network effect. Sorry, I seldom do presentation in English. Yeah, because it's a very strong network effect from the both sides, the asset side and the capital sides. Yeah, and I think through the evolvement process, it has to come through a gradual stage. I think at the beginning, a lot of clients are more interested in more stable and mature fixed income products like T-bills, like corporate bonds. Moreover, I think as time evolves, a lot of tests and innovation on the equity side, either the public traded stock or probably the equity on the private markets. And I think in the future, more and more derivatives, for example, perhaps the CFD, like contract for difference, this kind of derivatives may appear. And we are also discussing with the regulators to see what we can explore. Yeah, so I think we are very optimistic about the future, and we see a lot of innovation and demand in this field, and the first movers can capture the market dividends of the new asset issuance paradigm.
Yeah, that would be a future I think I would very much want to see, because if we started from stablecoins and then going to some like vanilla credit, and then we're going into equity markets, real estate, and gradually derivatives. I think there's a lot, and even potentially in the future, as what Frank mentioned, you know, at the beginning, tokenizing your mentality, a lot of those things. Many things can happen. I think definitely building a solid foundation right now is important. So I also want to ask Devin, because you guys work a lot with institutional clients, and I wanted to ask about, in terms of banking solutions, what are you providing to the clients, and how are you guys adding value to the clients on the RWA side?
Like from the institution clients that we serve or encounter, like maybe today, some of them are talking about on-off ramp for sure. So like for on-off ramp, we talk about like how they can open a bank accounts with us, that they can support their on-ramp and off-ramp to the exchanges and to other kind of players in the ecosystem. This is one thing. And within some agenda talk about related to the RWA, is of course talking about how they can provide that kind of the tokenized RWA to our customers. So like, for example, just Frank and Paulo mentioned, after the exchanges can provide this, maybe the exchanges, they can provide this kind of the tokenization of this kind of asset. It's all talking about the accessibilities to the clients. So in this regime, we think about the next critical or the future about it is about the customer experience and how it is handled easily, about how it can connect to the like the asset, the due diligence one, to make sure it's all in a very transparent way, so that the customers at the back end, even though it's an institutional client, they know what they are actually investing. This is one of the very critical point. And also we will see another very critical one that also the bank is actually exploring is about the stablecoin for sure. Because like, even though for the stablecoin, we cannot just thinking about, they are just talking about like BTC pairs, ETH pairs, but this is also a very critical component or players in order to develop for the RWA tokenization, because some of our clients may mention that, oh, they are interested in doing some like stablecoin issuing, but they are not just focusing on like pairing up with exchanges on some trading pairs, but they would like to support their own ecosystem about the RWA tokenization and the trading within their RWA ecosystem. So in this case, the banks has to think about what our client needs. In this case, so that's why we talk about, oh, we are supportive about some tokenized, I mean like stablecoin projects, because like those, we believe that after the VAT piece, the next one for the ecosystem, in order to be executable, it's gonna be the stablecoin. And of course, after the stablecoin one, we surely believe like the STO and the RWA would be coming next.
Right, that's really good insight, actually. Also, I think one last thing I wanted to maybe ask Frank, because we all know regulatory clarity is very important. So I don't know if you have any thoughts on how we can help and work together as an industry to help regulators progress this forward.
Cool. I think Devin bring up a very good point, right? This industry is not just for one single player that can work it out, right? It has to be like brokers, like exchanges, like bank, technology, regulator. We all have to work on the same page in order to make Hong Kong great. How to make Hong Kong great is talking about we have to form some of like an association. Maybe we can sit down and talk about what's the future, what's the market demand, what do we actually need, right? We can iron out all those hurdles by streamlining like a lot of process. I think that's the key to unlock the future. While we have a lot of competition globally, compared with like Dubai, Singapore, right, or the other regions. So what we can do, what we actually need to do is really identify what's the real demand of our end users. Is it like a specific assets class, or is it like a particular regulation framework, or is it like what kind of technology we are talking about? I think this is definitely a good timing for all of us to sit down and discuss further.
Yeah, definitely. And also myself coming from a European TradFi background and saying, I know Switzerland is very big on RWA. And in the US, right, we've seen BlackRock, etc., doing tokenization of ETFs and funds. And given how much potential Hong Kong has as a financial hub for Asia, I think, honestly, I wholeheartedly agree, and I want to see some amazing development out of Hong Kong on RWA, and I think we should be able to drive this forward. Want to thank you all for the panelists, and also maybe a final comment on any opportunities you're seeing in the market, anything you want our audiences to remember.
Sure, I can go first. Yeah, so I mean, obviously, like everyone here, really excited about the potential of leveraging blockchains for RWA issuances. I think what Credora specifically is trying to be in that place is making the risk, as we were discussing, more transparent and making it more real time. And so, yeah, if you'd like to learn more about us, we're on credora.io, or I'm going to be here for the next few days. But yeah, really appreciate you having me on, and excited to see the space grow, especially here in Hong Kong.
Awesome.
Yeah, I think the main goal for us is to be the bridge for the Web 2 and Web 3 world. Also the bridge between the traditional, the asset sides and the capital sides. So I think when we are talking RWA, we are talking about bringing the assets from Web 2 or the traditional assets into the Web 3 world. In the reverse direction, we are also building ETF, which seems to be like a reverse RWA, that we bringing the Web3 assets to the Web2 world. So I think they are all useful during different stage of the liquidity cycle. When it comes to bull market, maybe the return rates on the Web3 sides will become higher. But in other times, we always need the stable and more mature return from the traditional strong assets. So as for us, we are aim to building this bridge with the regulated business running. So we help to connect the both the asset sides and the capital side. Thank you.
Cool. OKX has been a famous brand globally because of a few reasons, right? The first one is we are innovative by using technology to solve a lot of problems, like the proof of reserve, those kind of thingy. We introduce those ideas. We also like a customer focus. We know we are trying to understand what are real demand for our customers, that we can build the right products for the investors. Like Paulo mentioned, right? So what kind of assets do we want to go listed? We will do our due diligence because we are customer first platform. So if you have some good ideas, you have some partnership that you want to work with OKX, we are more than happy, and we are actually very eager. And that's why one of the reasons why we are here today. We want to build Hong Kong great. We want to work with all of you guys to make this RWA and platform even better.
In CA, in last year Web3 Festival, we're talking about banking for Web3. And after a year, we see that we actually support a lot of the Web3 company to do some very fundamental banking service. And as I just heard from the last panel about the stablecoin, they talk about, oh, it's quite difficult to get a banking relationship. And no worry, if you guys have a good business case about the stablecoin, just feel free to come to us. I do think like it's not only our banks to support you guys, but we want to make you guys like believe that the bank is actually working with the ecosystem players to support you guys about a lot of kind of innovations, a lot of new system, a lot of the new thinking to support the Web3 ecosystem to make it stronger. So that's the belief of the CA Bank.
Excellent. Amazing insights from our panels today. Thank you so much, Darshan, Paulo, Frank, and Devon for sharing your insights. And thank you everyone for staying on. I hope you enjoy the event. Thank you.